Hi guys, welcome back to shop. Hey, we're going to get back on the RM125 Suzuki crankshaft. We're heading down the final straight here, hopefully. We've got the hole drilled in here and reamed out, and now we've got to make the replacement stub. It's going to fit in. We're going to Loctite it and pin it, and then thread up here. Actually, we're going to thread it before we do all that. But the next thing we need to do is go over on the lathe and turn out the piece that's going to fit in the hole. And we'll leave the where the threads go just a little long. We can always trim that off afterwards. But that's the plan, and let's get over there and do it. Okay, I've got a piece of 3/4 inch material here, and I've got it pretty well set. So what we need to do first is cut the portion that is going to slide into the crankshaft, and that's actually going to go, that's the length of this right here, this first line. The second line is just where I had the dial indicator for indicating the material, and the final round is where the total length. So this much of it will go into the crankshaft, and then between there and here is the threaded portion. So the first thing we're going to do is turn down the portion that goes into the crankshaft. And we're looking for 0.4379. That's what we're looking for. So we'll see how close we can get to 0.4379. Okay, I got to thinking about things, and like I've said before, sometimes that's a dangerous thing, but I thought I had a real good fit with this piece of 7/16. You can hear it. It's pretty tight. Fits pretty good in there. But I was using that as my measure, and that's not good. This is a hole gauge here, and it actually gets a little bit looser as you go down about midway. I don't know why. Probably, you know, most drill bits kind of do not turn all that straight. But anyhow, I came up with that, and instead of 0.4379, I'm measuring that at 0.4399. So I'm just going to call it 0.440. And right now I'm at what I'm measuring at 0.444. So I've got 4 thousandths to go. So I'm going to take and be real careful what I do from now on. I just want, you know, you've got to have the interference fit, and it can't be too much, it just needs to be enough. And actually I'm going for 1.5 thousandths here. So as of now, we're down to pretty darn close. Yeah, I got 4 thousandths to go. Probably just going to take probably 2, and then I'll work the rest of it with a file if I need to. Just too close to mess it up at this point. And on this, I'll just run my DRO to 1 thousandths. And that's actually 2. So we'll take that cut. And we'll see where we're at then. Okay, I'm right at a thousandths. Yep, still at about a thousandths. So I'll work at it with file a little bit more. All right. We're right at it. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my length is right for the stub, and I've got to chamfer this end. So let me do the chamfering first. I'm just going to do it with a file. And our length is looking just about right. So the next thing we want to do is start on the threaded area here. And this we've got to turn down to 16 millimeter. Okay guys, I'm going to make this a little bit longer. Actually, I only need this thread to about here. I'm going to make another piece back here. I'm going to go 16 millimeters all the way back to here so that I have a practice piece. I won't go ahead and turn this down like this on that end, but I'll just have a piece I can practice on before I do this one. I'm just not, I don't do enough threads, so I need to make sure that I know what I'm doing here before I, I just don't want to ruin one right off the bat. So I'm building a practice piece, so we'll do that one first. Okay guys, I think we're about where we need to be. 16. So I'm going to go ahead and go up to my target is, we're talking inches now, 1550. Actually, I'm going to go to about 1560 for our total length. Give me a little bit to trim off after the threading. Okay, should be about right there. So I'll lock me down there. And that'll leave me a little stub on the other side to practice on. Let me move you back here just a little bit. Okay, let's cut it off. Sure hope it's right. You're pretty close. There we go. Okay, there's our stub. All we got to do now is get some threads on this end. And hope our measurements are all right. Let me grab the the crankshaft here. Here's the, that's not going in there yet. It kind of starts on the taper here, but that's as far as she goes. And then it'll come up to all the way, and then this will be threaded down here. So let's continue on. Oh, and also what I did was, what did I do with that? Here it is. I went ahead and cut this off. This is the other end of that, and this is the 16 millimeter end. So what I'll do is I'll just trim this down enough to just get it below the surface of the 16 millimeter, and this will be my practice piece. And I even cut this long enough, I think, yep, so that if I screw this one up, I've got one to play with here. Hopefully we're not going to screw it up. Okay guys, time to get some threads on it. We're getting close here. On my lathe, I've got to keep my half nut engaged when I do metric threads. So it's a pretty slow process. I'll be going through and stopping and then backing it all the way back. Actually, let me back up here a minute. I'll engage my my tooling, go all the way through and forward, stop, pull the tooling out, then reverse it, all the time keeping the half nut engaged. If you don't, it's not going to work right on this. It's got an imperial screw on it, so to do metric I have to do it that way. I still change my gear in order to do metric threads, but I can't disconnect my half nut for this. So this actually, the type that we're doing here, where I've got plenty of room to stop and everything here, is very helpful in this case. But it's going to take a while. Okay, we're starting out with 16 millimeters here on our major diameter. First thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of bluing on that so we can see what's going on. Just for the first turn or so. And then I'll come down, and I just want to kind of show you my setup here a little bit also. Okay, I'm set up at 29.5 degrees here, and I've got everything square and straight. And then back here, what I'll do is I'll forward this until I hit the part and then zero it out. And then when I go all the way through to this side, then I will stop it and back this back out and then run it back, and then I'll re-engage this, and I'll probably add another probably 2 thousandths each time, maybe a little less depending on what the work looks like as we're progressing with the threads. Okay. Try to get you all lined up here. I don't want to get too close because it won't be clear. Okay. I'm just going up and touch, then back it off, and then I'm going to go forward just 1 thousandths. And let's see, we got our thread, yep, okay, here we go. So we'll go through and we'll check first to make sure we get the proper threads. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and back this out. I know where zero is because my dial indicator tells me so. Now I'm going to back it out. You can see it's a pretty slow process. Okay, then we just take our, this is 1.5, or 1.5 pitch. So I just come in here and verify that it is, and it is, with the thread gauge. So at this point we're going to go back to 0, add 2 thousandths, and go back forward, keeping the half nut engaged. Okay, and then back out again and reverse it. Looks like everything's working okay. So we'll go ahead and get some oil on it, and we'll advance it another 2 and forward again. Then back out and reverse. And I'll keep at this for a little while. As when I get a little bit further along, I'll bring you back. Okay, just starting to go on there now. It's too tight. Check often once you get close. I'm sure we're not there yet, but just, you know, if you go too far, you just got to remake the part. So we haven't gained much since the last time we checked. Still not there. Okay, it's going on, but it's pretty tight. We'll just go back through with a spring pass. That should be enough, I think. Yeah, nice. And it's still getting a little tight on up there. I might have some filings in it. Let's try that first. Make sure there's not any in the nut. Well, it gets tight when we get up there. Let's run it through on a spring pass again. Yeah, that's good. All right. Success. Got a little thread we need to get off the back side here where we won't even be using that back part anyway. But I'll get that trimmed off. Okay guys, I think we're getting pretty close here. That's our stub, and it's ready to go, I believe. We're just going to do some real quick cleanup here of the inside and the stub itself. So we want to make sure our Loctite will hold in there. Okay, the one thing we want to make sure of is that this is not going to bottom out in there, and I think I'm pretty satisfied. I'm going along the edge of the hole here. Lock it up. And you can see a little space there between the ruler or the T-square and the end. And I've done it that way. I'm actually more confident that way than measuring it, but the measurement does come out to be just about the same. You have to remember that the hole in the middle there is, you know, it's deeper than on the sides, so the sides is where we've got to measure. And I don't have the drill bit yet. That should be next day or two. And we need to make sure that we know, and actually it's the same measurement. I've marked this with a black line there. We have to be able to pin it between there and here. So that's going to be pretty easy, actually, just right there in the middle of that area. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up before we start pressing to give it a little bit of help, expand it a little bit. And you never know, it might just fit it, you know, slide in there. I don't know. I'm not going to cool this piece down. I don't know, you got a good shot of the threads or not? I'm pretty happy with them. And we may have to cut this down a little bit after we're done. I'm going to hope that we don't, but we will be able to do it if we need to. We'll just chuck this up. I made it a little bit longer than it needed to be. Let's see, we had the stub at 1.100, and let's see here. And then the thread length was 0.450, so we should be at 1550, right? Yeah, 1550. So we're at 1556. I think we'll be all right. That's the overall length. Okay, so I'm going to get this one cleaned up, and we're going to get it and all these other parts over by the press, and we're going to see if we can put it in there. Okay, I've got that all cleaned up, and I've got my gloves on so I'm not getting my oily fingers on it. and I'm just going to take and go ahead and apply. This is Loctite 609 for press fit. You want to apply this to both surfaces. Of course, it's going to push it down as you go, but that's just the way it works. But they know that when they make it, so. And of course, this is not going to start setting up until till you take the air away. This is anaerobic sealer, means that there's the absence of air before it can set up. Okay, I'll see you back over at the press. Okay, got our piece here, got an aluminum pusher. There it is. She's home. Okay guys, there we have it. Let's see what she's going to look like here. We've got the gear. And the washer. And the nut. And of course you've got the bearing and everything that goes on behind that. You'll get the bearing. Of course, this is just the inner race. And the washer, spacer, gear, Belleville washer, and your nut. I think that's going to work. You always kind of sweat pressing that thing in. You know, if you've got it too tight, it might not go. The press was struggling a little bit, but you just don't want to stop. You just keep on going. So we did. We had no problems with it. We had our aluminum pusher here, so we didn't mar up the threads. So here in a day or two, I did get one of my drill bits. This is a carbide 3/16, and we'll be, like I say, it's already rubbed off, hadn't it? Good thing I've still got my marker. But we'll be drilling this probably not all the way through. Just well, we may. We'll see what we need to do. The other one I didn't go all the way through. I just barely didn't come out the other side, so I don't have to worry about the possibility of it coming out either way. Of course, this one won't anyway, because this will be over the top of it. But it just, you get to thinking more and more what you ought to do or something, and you probably just don't need to do hardly any of it. You just need to put the thing together. But I do have some dowel pins coming. 3/16 dowel pin. I just so that, and I got another drill bit in case you break one. I think the other one's a shorter one for starting it. But anyway, that stuff will be in. Then we'll set this up in the vise and the mill and find our center and drill that. Loctite the pin in and then trim it off, whatever we need to trim off. Okay, this is the one that they sent me, but it's this one, the pin is in a different location, so we couldn't use it for that bike. And I guess just all I wanted to do was just show you the the ends, because the ends are the same. You know, the splines are in a little better shape on this one, but the threads really look just about the same. And there's the other side. Okay, I've got the flywheel or the crankshaft half here in the vise, and I'm going to go ahead and find the center. So I've got my wiggler in here. I'm going to go ahead and bring that over till it kicks out. Right there. And I'll go ahead and zero out here. And we'll go to the other side. And we'll find this one. Right there. So we'll go up and hit our half function and our axis. And now we'll just bring the table back over until it's 0. And there we are. Just pretty much center. Okay, this is the pin I'm going to put in there. And that's where I'm going to put it. You can see we're just off the edge here, but remember our piece only goes back there just a little ways, so it probably goes back to about here. So we should be able to get through this piece and that piece at that point. So this piece, the pin, is just a little bit longer than it is the diameter here. So I'm probably just going to grind it off a little bit. It's like 4/1000ths longer. So we'll probably be going all the way through on this one. Like I say, it is, you've got the bearing and you've got the spacer that goes over it, so it will be contained even if it does come out after being Loctited in, and it's an interference fit also. Okay, I've got an 1/8 inch spotting drill in here, and this one's carbide, so it should go into that pretty well. So let's see here. Yep, going right in. Okay, let me get my 3/16 bit in there. All right, let's see if we can get through this thing. Well, it's so nice to have the right type of material. And this one is carbide also. Once you get through the case hardening, it's just like butter. You know, like we did on the other side, we were able to just use a high-speed bit and go right on through. Okay. Okay, so we'll just clean our hole out best we can. A little acetone. Cotton ball coming off my Q-tip. Okay, so I think that's clean. And we'll just, I'll get my gloves on and I'll clean the pin. Then we'll apply the Loctite on both surfaces. And then we'll go see if we can tap it in there. Gotta make sure you don't interject any oil into it. Should be clean. Stay on there. Oh, it's not going to want to, is it? All right. Okay, so we'll get our 609 press fit Loctite. I've got to see if I can get one. Yeah, that'll slide through there. Some of them are bigger than others. And then we'll get some on the pin. It's a little tapered on one end there. It's actually a 1/2 thousandths interference fit. And I've got my brass drift here to hammer on this with, and a brass hammer. Go just a little more. Yeah. There we go. Using a diamond burr on this. Just like I used when I port. And here's the inner race of the bearing. There we go. That's the fit we want. So, we by golly have got our crankshaft repaired. I think that it's going to work okay. And I guess the next video on this one should be the last one. We'll assemble the crank, put the rod and the bearing and all that stuff in there. So, but as of right now, we've done all we can do here. Remember, the seal rides up here, the bearing here, and it's a slip fit. And the we've got the shim, the spacer, the gear, the Belleville washer, and the nut that all go on there. Oops. Okay guys, there you have it. Hopefully we've got the crankshaft repaired. We've got new threads on each end. We've got them pressed in, pinned in, and Loctited in. So I don't think they're going anywhere. Like I said at the beginning of this thing, at the end of the day, all these threads do are hold this gear on and hold the rotor on this end. So it shouldn't be a problem at all with what we did. I can't think of any problem that there should be or will be. But in the next video, we'll go ahead and get it assembled, and we'll check the run out. We'll check the rod as far as the play on it and everything that we need to check. Now the only thing that I can't do is I can't put it between centers on the lathe, because I couldn't put the holes in the middle. I don't know whether they would have been in the right place. I could have done it, but I just don't know whether I could have got them in the right place to do that. It's pretty critical. If those are off just a little bit, it's going to throw everything off. So we'll be setting this up with a set of V-blocks, which is certainly an acceptable way to do it. But it's a little bit different than what I may have done one with a set of V-blocks. I can't remember. But anyhow, that's our next goal. And I put these in a playlist. I think this is the 5th one. So when we get the build in there, it'll be 6 videos in that playlist. So if you want to go back and look at them in order, they'll just play one right after the other, and you can see everything that we had to go through on this. So subscribe, give me a thumbs up, all that good stuff, and I appreciate you watching. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.